everybody. Welcome to another edition of Wednesday here on ChronoSpeakeasy.com. I'm your host, Paul, joined with Angela.
Hi there.
And Jay.
Hey.
Hey, gang. How we all doing?
Pretty good.
Doing good.
Good. Happy to hear that. Yeah.
I was up until 2 last night playing Kingdom Hearts.
I really want to actually start playing Kingdom Hearts.
The first one's a little clunky. The second one, they fixed like all the bugs and it's really great. The third one's all right, but then there's like 20 games in between the second and third one. And you'll be in for like such an adventure of hours upon hours of gameplay.
Oh, nice.
Cool.
That's what I'm looking for.
I've been up late playing Conan O'Brien. I'm not Conan O'Brien. Crash Bandicoot.
I mean, I've been watching
Jesus
Conan O'Brien
Christ.
also.
What was that?
I don't know, but I think it's funny. Conan O'Brien. I got Crash Bandicoot confused with
Nice.
Conan O'Brien.
That's
They are both
maybe
orange.
Maybe both Conan O'Brien can play Crash Bandicoot in the animated movie.
maybe.
Pretty funny.
I mean, and the new revamped Crash Bandicoot isn't really even that new. That came out in like 2017.
Yeah, it was just a remastered version.
It's still fun though. I actually have gotten farther in those games than I did when I was a kid, so I feel like I don't know. Like I feel like something magical will happen when I beat it because I never actually beat the games as a kid. Like I feel like I don't know. Like I'll beat it and then I'll like just be old.
Well,
like I'll just finally
wild.
like achieve adulthood.
It's wild because like a lot of the games I could beat as a kid on Super Nintendo and whatnot, like the Incredible Hulk video game, or Captain America and the Avengers, things like that.
Yeah.
Like I can't beat those as an adult now.
Yeah.
But I can play Zombies Ate My Neighbors and get to like level 10.
Dude, I haven't been able to get past like the first level of Super Mario Brothers. Like it is so hard for me now. Like I forgot all the cheats. I forgot everything. I'm like, wait, I'm supposed to do something here. Isn't there something hidden right here? Like, and I remember I used to fly through it. It'd take me like a minute to get through the whole thing.
Yeah, you can like jump worlds and shit like that, and then just warp to the last level and be like, I saved the princess. I'm a god now.
Yeah. You know what game I think one game I could not beat as a kid that I did beat as an adult was Sonic the Hedgehog.
Mm.
And
I don't think I ever beat it.
Dude, that first game for me, even as an adult, monstrously hard. Especially when you play the OG game where you can't save.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's real fucking difficult.
Yeah. I mean,
I played an emulator on my brother's old computer back in the day, and I was able to save like each zone.
Oh yeah,
that's cool. Sonic is still dope though. Sonic and Knuckles, Sonic 3 on the tropical island,
Sonic and Tails.
Yeah,
or Sonic 2 is Sonic and Tails, isn't it?
Yep.
There was a game that I played on my old IMDb. I'm doing it too now.
Wow, we're just full of like.
Unfiltered.
Oh god, jeez, this is bad.
No
IBM, my old IBM computer that I had, and I couldn't find this game. I was like, oh my god, like I know this game existed. I played it all the time, and I finally found it. It's called Nightmare 3D. And you're basically in a haunted house and you're killing, like, Frankenstein and mummies and, like, all sorts of shit. It's, like, a really bad first-person shooter. But,
sounds pretty fun.
Yeah, so I found a place where I can play it online, so I'm gonna try to do that.
Nice.
With my time.
As we're recording.
Yeah, but it's just, life is hard. It's stressful, and I like my fun things.
I feel like
it's
like every time I pay bills, it's the sound effect when Sonic loses his rings.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Fair and accurate.
Yeah, life can be stressful, and you need things that help alleviate that with video games and things like that, because it gives that, like, a sense of accomplishment.
Yeah.
Well, anytime I do something big, or like if I do a project at work or whatever, I play the end credit theme from Sonic 3 because when I
That's pretty sick.
yeah, and of course I don't have my phone, so I can't play a riff from it, but that's like my go-to whenever I feel like I've just like made some monumental achievement. But no, but I think it's true. You do need these things to kind of get through life, and they're not necessarily like nerd things. I think that's the whole point of entertainment. It's just we're supposed to be entertained and get a break from all the nonsense.
Well, what's really funny? Like, because I mean, we've been hearing a lot about, like, millennials and why we fucking suck and all that shit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny, because they mention, obviously the first thing they always mention with millennials is either our phones or getting a trophy for everything. Those are the two things that they're just like, about. And it's funny because, my parents are both baby boomers. And everything that I am, I attribute to them. Like, all of the things that I enjoy and I love. Like, my dad was the one who introduced me to Star Wars. My dad was the one who got me watching Star Trek. My dad was the one who got me, listening to, really good music. I mean, and getting into Indiana Jones and all of that stuff and getting into comics. Like, he was the one that's what I did as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom got me into, like, she got me into also music and, like,
Right.
Motown. That was her jam.
Yeah.
And all of these things that I consumed, all of this culture and this pop culture that I consumed came from them. I
Right.
didn't just, like, discover it on my own. Like, they provided that platform for me. And
Right.
because they wanted me to see all of these movies that made them happy as kids, like, in the number one being, like, The Wizard of Oz.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was something that they were like, oh, we have to watch this with you.
Yeah.
Like, you need to see this movie. And so it's funny because when I say to people, oh my God, you need to see this movie, I feel like I'm turning into my mother, because, like, that's how my mom and my dad both were growing up. So I just find it really funny that there's always going to be generational rifts, and it's funny that baby boomers hate on us as millennials so hard, because, like, nobody hates boomers more than Gen Xers. So I'm like, why do we get your wrath? Like, what the hell? We didn't do anything.
Because we're convenient.
Yeah,
we're the kids that like didn't grow up the way that they wanted them to be.
Yeah, I mean, but at the same time, we did. We did exactly what they asked us to do, and
but it's not what they really wanted.
But then they're looking at us, and what's funny though? I think boomers, like, hate us the most is we're the same as them in terms of size. Like, our generation is huge, and everything isn't really being catered to them anymore because they're not in the demographic matrices for, like, other companies and stuff, because everything used to always be catered to them, and now it's getting catered to us. And I think that watching us, we are a mirror to them. And they're seeing all the things that they hated about themselves in their own generation, and they're projecting that onto us, because we're young and we're, and they're like, well, you got all these things I didn't have. And it's like, yeah, but
they're the ones that gave it to us.
You're the ones that gave it to us. Exactly. Like, right. So so whenever I hear a boomer, like, just kind of really slam their fist in anger about how we're the gimme, gimme, gimme generation, and it's like, they were saying the same things about you.
Yeah.
But, like, it's really ironic with at least the trophy thing, because with everyone should get a trophy, it's because, like, the higher generation gave everyone a trophy.
Mm-hmm.
I remember I didn't play a single game in football, and I still got a participation trophy. And I threw it away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was silly as shit.
The first trophy, the only trophy I ever got was a participation trophy, because we lost in soccer, and this was when I was in 8th grade.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd only been on the team for, like, a month. And I got a trophy, and I was like, cool, and I chucked it. But I didn't really care. But, like, even, because Paul and I are on the older end of the millennials. We're in the 80s. Born in the 80s, so we so I remember not getting, like, trophies and ribbons for I remember that like before transition, before that started, because it was more so the 90s and yeah, because it's up till 2000, right? So it's more the 90s kids, I feel like, that got that than we did, but I don't fucking hate them for it. I'm not gonna shit on them for it. Like, that's
So
just stupid.
I've noticed a thing too with a lot of older individuals. I had a conversation with like the owner of my company who's in his 50s and his brother. I don't know how old he is. I think he might be a little bit younger. And they seem resilient to take change with the times. Like they almost pride themselves on the fact that they don't understand how to use their cell phones.
Yeah.
And like don't have social media, which I mean, if you don't have social media, fine. To each their own on it. It can be cancerous, but can also be a joy. It's like most anything in life.
Mm-hmm.
But they're also like making jokes like, do you know what this sort of thing is? Like, do you know what a meme is? Just like, no, I don't, and I don't care. And then I'm explaining like all these miscellaneous things to them. Like, I had to explain what Tinder, Bumble, and online dating in general was to them.
Yeah.
They're like, what's wrong with going to a bar and like meeting a girl? Well, it's not an option really right now because I don't like to drink. So why would I go to a bar to hit on a drunk person? That seems wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I feel like there's something I think really interesting about not just sort of being berated for being a millennial, but for being a nerd in particular. It's like, you know, recently Bill Maher, not only did he double down, but he tripled down on everything he kind of said about Stan Lee, you know, and for those who...
And the backlash.
Yeah, and so, you know, for those who...
Yeah, fuck that guy.
Yeah, so for those who, like, you know, just in case you missed it, when Stan Lee died, Maher took the opportunity to sort of, I guess, air his grievances about comics and nerd culture, and
as childish.
Yeah, and so there's this huge backlash, and you know, just because it just sort of seemed like, you know, because Maher was saying that, well, I wasn't bad, you know, I wasn't saying anything bad about Lee, but he kind of like just kind of undermined his legacy, you know.
He indirectly said negative things.
Well, yeah, and then, you know,
he did a whole segment on Real Time.
Yeah.
You know how he likes to end his shows with these like nice long segments where he's just like gonna learn you something. And he dedicated a whole segment to why we as nerds are shitty and good riddance to us. And it was so disappointing. I remember like I couldn't even like be mad. I was so just sad. Like, because me, I actually liked Bill Maher. I liked Bill Maher for a long time. I mean, my older sisters are in the Gen X group, and when he had Politically Incorrect, like my oldest sister like used to watch that religiously, and I would, you know, kind of hover on the sidelines and be like, oh, I should be interested in politics, and because it's cool to be interested in politics. That's what my older sister's doing, and so I remember, you know, him on Politically Incorrect, and I've always like supported him, and you know, yeah, he'd say some like shocky, outlandish things, and I'd be like, yeah, whatever. I mean, it's all in the context, really, you know.
Right.
I mean, so when he dropped the N-bomb, you know, what was like last year or the year before, whatever, he dropped the N-bomb and people like flipped out, and I was like, you know, it wasn't. You had to pay attention to the context, but I didn't. I was just like, yeah, it wasn't. Was it in great taste? No. Did it like offend me? No. Like, I've heard that used in way more offensive ways, and it worked for the context that it was in. And then, you know, when he would speak out against, you know, religion, and particularly people jumped on the Muslim thing and being like, that's hate speech and stuff. And I was like, you know, again, context, and I don't think it is. He's very anti-religion, and he says all the same things kind of about Muslims that he says about Christians, and he says about everybody. So it's just like, you know, you give what you take. But then, like, when he kind of, like, I mean, I guess, you know, but coming after, like, nerds, it was just kind of like, why? We're the most, like, docile, like, bunch. I mean, with the exception, I don't know. It was just kind
With
of
the
like, why?
exception of Mark Twitchell.
I don't even know who that is.
I just listened to the last podcast on the left about it.
Oh.
He's a nerd that murdered someone.
Mm.
He was super into cosplay and got introduced to Dexter. And when Facebook was like kicking off, he made a fake Dexter account and a like fan page and was pretending to be him.
Oh, Jesus.
And like he's a Canadian too.
Oh, Jesus.
So that's an even bigger twist.
Oh, God.
The most docile people and in the most docile community with nerd shit ended up being a murderer.
Yeah. Well, yeah. No, I mean, I can see how our
I mean, the mental instability
But-
runs in any whatever.
In
It's
any-
just a coincidence.
Yeah, but like, yeah. So but what really got me though is that he tried to make this correlation that, you know, people like us are responsible for somebody like Trump being in office, and that was just like, wait, are you kidding me?
Right.
Are you joking?
Right, because somehow there's like an association with like, your IQ versus like, what you're reading. Like he was shaming people who like, I mean, it's just such a like, I can't even think of like the words for it, which maybe I'm proving his point. I don't know, but he was just saying that like, it's people who think comics or view comics as like literature
Or
great
literature.
art. That saying that you're into the Avengers is like boasting that your mom knits your mittens to your
Oh, she pins
coat.
your mittens to your
yeah.
coat. And
I would love to just punch Bill Maher.
well,
Like
I
he
mean,
looks like he's never been punched or in a fight. And
No,
some
I
people
just-
really need that in their life.
it's just that it's so easy. That I think that's the thing that kind of like bugged me the most about it. It's like that is like the weakest and easiest thing you can do is shit on somebody for something that they like.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the easiest thing. That's like middle school rules. That's like when you didn't have a personality, and if you saw somebody doing something, you're like, oh, well, this will get people to like me because I'll just make fun of this person,
Mhm.
And it's just like, because you don't have a personality. You're not a formed human being yet. And so you're like, oh, I'll just shit on this, and because they like it, and this will be cool. It's cool to shit on things. And it's just, yeah, it was funny that he was ragging on our community for being so childish when he basically did have just kind of a bit of a tantrum.
I mean, it was a
temper
temper tantrum. It totally was.
Well, I think it's one of those things too where he, as far as I know, he hasn't really been relevant as far as like news and media goes. He could just be doing a publicity stunt to be like, here's a controversial thing that I'm going to say. And I don't know what he's been doing prior to this.
Well-
So he could just be trying to stir the pot more and more until somebody finally like takes a sip. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this is his way of being relevant. So fuck that guy.
I just
He
think
needs
it's
to get
funny.
punched.
I just think it's funny he's saying all of that, and he's an Iron Man 3. You're not Iron Man, you're Irony Man. To quote him in his segment.
Yeah, he made an interesting thing when he was saying in his rant. He was like about because Marvel made a statement.
Well, it was Stan Lee's company, POW.
Oh yeah, they made a statement and just being like, it's signs of the times. People have done it for centuries. When they say, oh, something's childish and silly and it shouldn't matter, and they said the same thing about Shakespeare and Dickens and all this stuff. And then he's like, no, they didn't. And he said, if you'd know that if you read a real book. And then it's like, no, but they did. And I know that because I read real books.
Right.
And you would know that because Dickens, before he even was like, he didn't have like really like all of his stories he would tell through these like little kind of short like magazines and stuff, and these little like kind of vignettes. You get these little bits
Like
of
comic
stories.
strips.
Yeah, and that's before, because novels at the time weren't really seen as being like
I think some credit Dickens as creating the cliffhanger.
yeah, and but like like Lewis Carroll, like I mean, he was seen as childish. Shakespeare wrote like really like insane dick jokes. That's
He
like
wrote a
what he
play about a
did.
man turning into a donkey with fairies.
Yeah, like I mean,
I mean,
he had so
that
many
is true
crazy
art.
he was all dick jokes. So it's like, yeah, they
That is
did.
also art.
People judge the shit out of it, but art is subjective.
Well, yeah,
Right.
and the other thing too was because in that letter or that response to Maher, they had said one of the writers that they had said was being accused of being childish was John Steinbeck. Steinbeck wrote The Grapes of Wrath, one of like his or Of Mice and Men. So I actually did some research and I actually found a review. This woman, Mary McCarthy, in 1936, wrote a review of one of his books called In Dubious Battle, and she straight up calls his writing childish and infantile. And that was in 1936, and then Steinbeck would later win a Nobel Peace Prize in 1962. So, yeah, great writers have been criticized for being childish and infantile.
Yeah, it's kind of like a part of the process. I mean, like Van Gogh didn't sell anything until after he died. Like it's art is subjective, and people it speaks to people at different times. And I'm sorry, but yes, like Paul has brought this argument up so many times when we talk about this, because he's like, what about Mouse? What about Persepolis? March. Like, there are amazing works of art. I'm sorry, but yeah, Persepolis is a work of art.
American Splendor, paying for it. I mean, there's so many comics out there that like
Jerusalem. There's just these like amazing, yeah, there are just these amazing stories and amazing works of art. And I'm sorry that I don't know who hurt you, but sorry, my phone went
His
off.
ego did.
Yeah. No, but I think having an old man yelling at me about how I read comic books is like nothing new. My dad did it, like my dad blamed everything on me reading comics. I was like, oh, why your grades aren't good is because you're, fucking reading comic books. Like comic books have been the blame for everything since comics have been around. I mean,
Yep.
People were holding book burnings for comic books because they thought it was corrupting the youth.
Because at the time everybody was reading comics, and if you look in places like Japan, where everybody is like still reading comics,
yeah,
adults,
right? But
Yeah.
and also then you look at what I forget if it was like the 50s or the 60s where, you know, um, there was this article that came out years ago, and I wouldn't even say it was an article; that it was like a straight up commentary on comic books about how it was damaging the youth. And soon it was like comics, they couldn't be, it couldn't be read. It was called Seduction of the Innocent, and it was this extreme criticism of the comic book industry, and it destroyed a lot of comic book companies. And that's sort of where the comics code came out, because you couldn't have sympathetic villains, there couldn't be any drug use, media that adults don't understand has always had a target painted on its back. Like blaming music, blaming movies,
video games, but they're blaming, like, it's funny too because Bill Maher is such like an advocate for weed, and it's like, dude,
yeah,
like
light one up and chill out.
yeah, I mean he still like, no offense to people who are really into weed. I think it comes up a lot living in a state like Colorado for like me and Paul, but I kind of see it as like a sign of maturity when people like don't really talk about weed like it's the end all be all of their life. If you smoke weed, that's cool, but it's like when people talk about drinking, it's just like, okay, it's something you do,
right.
It's not really
Right.
something you talk about, and it's just I don't know when people, but that's what they like. That's what they're into. They're into weed culture. I'm not into weed culture. I don't care. I never really have. I mean, I guess I did when I was like 19, but that's when I was like a stoner. So it doesn't, you know what I mean? Like it's like I don't do that anymore. So I'm like, okay, but if you're into it, you're into it, and that's something that he's really into. And people have like condemned and shit on and shamed him and said that he was childish for it. But it's like, so it's like it's really like hypocritical and just obnoxious, and I don't know. It just really rubbed me the wrong way, and I think I'm just sad because I can't watch. Because I would watch it every week. I watched Real Time, and now it's like I've been weeks without, and I'm just like kind of like I'm sad because every time it's like I see it, I'm just like I can't, and it's like
Right.
you just kind
He
of
he's gotten like too much of an ego, and because he has a platform, he thinks that his voice is the end all be all. And like I don't know. I'm not a Bill Maher fan. I thought he's talked about some cool shit in the past, but like, just don't be a prick. That's
Yeah.
just a general life rule. Maybe just don't be a dick and like shit on a dude's legacy that just passed away that changed the lives of millions of people, regardless of if it affected your life or not.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like think about how other people feel about things instead of just trying to force your opinion on others and try and make others think the way that you do just because you're saying it on TV.
Right.
And using a guy's death as like a platform.
Well,
to fucking,
you know, and then
Just to get his popularity out there
yeah.
again.
right. Well, and then he goes on to say too about how he was responding to people saying comic books were what inspired people to read and to become socially conscious. Into which he says like fine, like then go on to read other works of art or works about social commentary, and like it's just it's like, why would you want to criticize the gateway drug for reading? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's just like it's because of reading things like X-Men that like you want to read, Howard Zinn, and you want to get a more of an understanding about how America came to be, or even
Well,
I am not your.
I'm not your Negro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying.
James
James Rose. Yeah.
Oh God, how am I forgetting his name?
It's because we're tired.
Yeah, we are. But no, like I mean, you have somebody like what about the writers though who also write comics as well as,
James Baldwin.
James Baldwin. Thank you. But like, how about like people like Ta-Nehisi? What is it, Ta-Nehisi Coates?
Yeah, he's writing fucking Black Panther.
Yeah, like it's just like, come on, man. Like, I mean,
There's also comedians and stuff like that
Neil
that
Gaiman,
do it too.
Yeah, it's like it's just people.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll say with that reference, I could be guilty in the past of doing something similar where it's like, oh yeah, you like One Piece, now you can watch better anime. Now you got your foot in the door. There's cooler stuff out there. And then it's just like, no, I only like One Piece, and I'm only gonna watch One Piece. And it's like, cool, you do you, but like, there's way better shit out there. But it's the best thing I've ever seen. Well, you're wrong.
well, I think he's just as bad as, and stop me if this is over the top or crossing a line, but I would say that Mar is just as bad as the people that he opposes, because he's making generalized assumptions of a group of people on one thing. It's like black people, like, oh, like you must all be good at basketball. You read comic books. You all must be
childish virgins.
Virgins living in your basement.
Basement.
And I know I'm not trying to say that being a nerd is the same as being black in America. I am not saying that. I just think it's interesting that he's making broad strokes when he's somebody who fights broad strokes.
He's just being incredibly hypocritical, and it just sucks.
Also, fun fact, like 80% of the people I know that are cage fighters all fucking love comics and Dragon Ball Z. Specifically Dragon Ball Z.
Well, and it's
I'll
funny.
say that.
I was sitting in my salon and we were talking about movies and stuff, and there's an older gentleman that I work with who was like, "How do you guys like know all this stuff?" And I was like, "Oh, it's because we're like millennials, we didn't have a lot of like we don't really have social lives, so we just got really good at like knowing our fandoms, and that's just, we love pop culture. We love pop culture. We eat it up."
Yeah.
I mean, you saw in the Super Bowl commercials, like on Sunday, like it was all pop culture references that we love.
They were
and-
so bad. The commercials last year.
But before we get down the commercials track, let me just say this. I want to know is how is comics any different from, say, Greek mythology or Arthurian legend? It's all make believe. It's all shit that didn't happen, or sort of happened based on true events. You know why? And even though, let's say, Arthurian legend, that's what, hundreds of years ago, and Superman's been around for 80 years, but the comics
It's been around longer than Scientology.
Well, but the point I'm trying to make is that this is our modern mythology.
Yeah,
And so fun. and the mythology and the legends have been used by cultures as a way of understanding the world around them.
And cash grabs.
There's
yeah. I would take it to like a pretty basic level too, about just like, it's just a fandom like anything else. It's like sports. You like your teams. You wear the jersey of your favorite player to a game. We know you're not that player.
Listen,
like we know you don't think you're that player.
I don't
Right.
run around in 10-degree weather with a shirt off with body paint screaming "Go Green Lantern."
Yeah,
it's.
A lot of cosplayers do that shit.
Yeah, but like
just for the sake of their cosplay.
But going to a football game in freezing weather.
In general, Bill Maher isn't specifically saying nerds are doing this. He's saying comic book fans. Because nerd is very broad, and it's just somebody that obsessively learns about like a specific subject. So a lot of people don't believe that they're nerds. Like somebody could be a football nerd and just like obsessively learn stats and things like that of the past. Or
come on, fantasy football teams.
Right. That's just my viewpoint of like we've had the conversation of nerd versus geek and all that stuff before, and I've made my viewpoint as such. So that's just my take on that.
Yeah.
And there's a dude I train with that doesn't like tradition. Like nerd has become a more of a social word to use to generalize people that like comic books and anime, opposed to what it should actually be. So there's a dude that doesn't like comic books and anime, and I told him, and he loves like watching old boxing videos and like MMA and stuff like that. And I'll just be like, yeah, you're a nerd in your own respect. And he's just like, what? Yeah, you're a nerd. Like you have who won the Hagler Hearns fight back in 1972 or whatever. And be like, Hagler won by TKO in like the 5th round. Like, okay, so like who won this fight? This person. Okay, so you're a nerd. You understand that, right? You've obsessively learned, like, acquired knowledge for all this shit.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
No, it's like me being upset about what happened in Spider-Man One More Day is the same as, like, somebody my father's age being upset about fucking the ball going between Buckner's knees for the Red Sox. Like, it's just, like... Yeah,
you have shit that you're really into, and it's a part of life. Like, people just like their shit. Leave them alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just
until it becomes a problem for other people.
Yeah,
right.
But that's like,
if we were all reading Crossed, then yeah, there need to be a fucking intervention. You know what I mean?
I don't know what Crossed is, so I think you're all set.
You're better off.
Yeah, you're good.
It's
cool.
It's fucking gross and violent.
I'll take being better off. I'm good.
Yeah, you're better off. But no, I think at the end of the day, it's just like one more boomer that's just like, meh, millennials, meh. And it's just like,
I've got an opinion about things, and
listen.
Listen.
See, if Bill Maher were to see me walking down the street with like a Captain America t-shirt on, there'd be a lot of assumptions being made, not knowing full-time employee, working in finance, have volunteered at community events, registered voter, have participated in marches, it's like all of that being undone because of what I like to read. Well,
not to mention any person in physics, in the sciences, anybody who calls himself like a futurist or enjoys like Tesla and like shit like that, like anybody who's into anything like that, I challenge you to find me one of those guys that like, or ladies that didn't grow up and get inspired from Star Trek.
Yeah.
Like, that was their jam. That's what got them into this shit. Like, it's like, come on. Like, just like, let people fucking do their thing, man. I mean, this is exactly why I got off of Facebook.
Right.
This is exactly why.
But
I just couldn't, it was just so negative, and it was just so like, Matt,
Yeah.
you're wrong. You're wrong because of this. You're wrong because of that. You're not
Well,
supposed to,
it's a bully
you're not
mentality,
Well,
and
feminist
there's
enough.
no
And that's-
consequence to what he's
black
saying.
enough.
And
You're
that's the
not-
problem with
ugh.
with what Bill Maher is saying, because this message is transcending Facebook. You know, it's hitting an audience that doesn't watch, you know, or that isn't on Facebook or on social media, and that's why it's important that, you know, we have to say, like, hey, that's an uninformed opinion.
Well, at least we still have John Oliver.
Yeah. Yeah, if only we could have John Oliver on during this, that would have been great. It's like, and in other news, old man yells at the sky. That's a terrible John Oliver impression. I'm sorry, John
I
Oliver.
don't know.
Yeah,
That
it
was
wasn't
actually
bad.
pretty good.
Yeah.
You did a pretty good job there. I've heard some worse impressions. That was pretty good.
No, like,
So on the subject too, I'll say that there's a lot of stereotypes in general that are just lame, and it's from a bully mentality that it comes from. Whether, like, it's not just comic books in general. People be like, oh, people, like, you're supposed to act this way because you're a boy, and
Oh,
you're supposed to
yeah.
act this way because you're a girl, and as a man you can't dress up like an anime character. And then there's me over here like, I'm gonna dress up like a girl and still be able to beat you up. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I just don't fucking care anymore.
That's the right way to go about
I
it.
just don't fucking care anymore. You like what you like. Who gives a shit?
You're feeding the beast by, like, going into it. Because, like I said, I think it's mostly just to get his name out there more
And get
again.
attention, get people like talking.
it's like, what's
Yeah,
big?
that's what we're doing right now.
So-
All publicity is good publicity.
Yeah, what's big right now? Comic books. You should shit on comic books, Bill.
Yeah.
I think it was Easy E that said, like, all publicity is good publicity.
No, it's definitely true.
That's true.
True that.
Yeah. But, like, let's just dive back into how bad the Super Bowl commercials were this year.
Yeah, it wasn't really.
Like,
I mean,
the only decent one was the Bud Knight losing to the Mountain in jousting.
oh, and that dude screaming.
That was
Yeah,
pretty good.
And, like, you just hear the cracking of his can of a helmet. I thought that was real funny.
That
And,
was
like,
fun.
somebody posted that on Facebook, and I was just like, hey, remember that time Gregor Clegane in season 1 lost to a jousting match to, what's his name, the Flower Knight?
Yeah.
And
He cut
so
his
his response was to kill his horse and then try and kill that guy.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
There's so much cool stuff that happens so early on in the show.
Yeah. Now I'm just imagining if, like, Facebook was on, like, you know, like Game of Thrones, and it's just him, like reading, like, some snarky, like, like, you know, if somebody wrote some shitty comment on an article he shared, and then he went out and cut off a horse's head.
I mean, Bill Maher would be Littlefinger.
That's giving Bill Maher way too much credit.
Well, to his intellect. But, like, he would be a wannabe conniving person to just kind of, like, weasel his way into situations.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that was the only ad that I thought was funny. But I really liked the ad with, well, you guys don't like football, right? So I like the one that they got, like, all the old legends of football in, like, tossing the football, like,
Oh, yeah.
chasing after
That was actually a
and
good
everything.
commercial. Yeah, where they're all, like, diving into each other.
I like the one that I missed, actually, because Paul came out and was like, "Did you just see that?" And we had to look it up. But no, it was the new Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet.
Oh, man.
I
That
missed the
was-
first
that was
10
a good
minutes of the
ad.
game.
That was a good ad.
It's Jordan Peele as the
Yep.
host, right?
Yep.
Hell yeah.
That's gonna be really fun.
And, of course, Endgame.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, more in-game stuff.
I mean, I thought it was... and again,
Agent 13's in it, right?
I don't know. But what I do know is that or that didn't make any sense. But what I liked was that, you know, that there really wasn't any action scenes.
Right.
You
Yeah,
know,
they're keeping a lot of stuff like hidden.
like I love like the shots of like how empty New York is, like all of the ships that are just like around the Statue of Liberty, and there's like support groups for like
Survivors and everything.
yeah, it's almost like the leftovers but with
Yeah.
superpowers.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. We got Captain Marvel to look forward to first.
Next month.
Hell yeah, and you can buy
Oh
tickets
my
for it
God.
already.
Oh my God, I'm so excited.
Yeah, so definitely lots of things to look forward to in spite of old people yelling at us.
We got Captain Marvel, and then we
Fuck
have
yeah.
Endgame and Game of Thrones. Oh my God,
Yep.
so many games ending.
Yeah.
And Game of Thrones.
And Game
Mhm.
of Thrones. Yeah, it's just like
We also have Spider-Man coming out in the summer.
and then we have Spider-Man coming out, and it's just like I don't know.
Which that looks fun.
I'm excited. And I was
Like, it's gonna be Mysterio pretending to be a superhero to get some street cred and causing all the mischief.
yeah, and I think Jake Gyllenhaal is going to be a good Mysterio.
You saw the superhero text thing that I sent, right, in the group chat?
Maybe?
No.
How recently?
It was like it was I think a week or two ago.
Yeah.
But it's like Spider-Man and Mysterio going back and forth. He's like, "Yeah, you're a coward." He's like, "Why is that?" "Well, fight me without your helmet on." Takes his helmet off. "Whoa, dude, I can't fight you." "What? Don't be a coward and face me, you Spider-Man." "What? No, you're like really handsome. I like just can't do it."
That's pretty good. Good
That's
stuff.
a real good one. Yeah, Jake Gyllenhaal looks pretty handsome in that outfit.
Yeah, no, I'm excited.
I've never really been super into Jake Gyllenhaal too.
You know, I know a lot of people who aren't, but he's a good actor. Like
He is a good
Nightcrawler, he was really good in. Sadly, not based on the X-Men character,
Right.
but still very good.
No, I mean like just looks wise.
Yeah.
I've always thought he was just kind of like plain, kind of.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm good on all that.
Well, I think it's funny is that Jake Gyllenhaal almost became Spider-Man for Spider-Man 2 when people thought Tobey Maguire wasn't going to be able to come back after he had injured his back.
Mm.
Did you see the thing that was just because it made me think of it? What's his name? Keanu Reeves almost played the dude in Captain Marvel.
Oh, yeah, the Jude Law character.
Yeah. Which that could have been pretty cool because he's a good actor.
He is. I heard that he actually had to turn it down because of filming John Wick 3.
Which makes sense.
Right. And to be honest, I would much rather see him in John Wick 3 because I loved John Wick 1 and 2. And if we can have a solid trilogy with John Wick, I'll be pretty happy.
Hell yeah. Have you seen the Photoshop where somebody made his shirt green and it just says Shaggy with him walking the pit bull next to him?
Yeah, that was pretty good.
I'm so on board for all these Shaggy memes.
Yeah, how did that come about? Like, I mean,
how does
these,
any meme
I
come
know,
about?
I don't know. There was like that moth thing for a while, and now.
Yep. And then there's like so many SpongeBob ones constantly.
Yeah. It was kind of cool that we got to see SpongeBob a little bit in the Super Bowl.
I was going to say that. But, like, it's also pretty lame that the fans are just like, there's not enough. I wanted to hear, like, the actual Sweet Victory song. It's just like, they threw you a bone by, like, giving in to you saying you wanted something and did it.
You know what? I'm surprised they did it at all.
Exactly.
Like, so I think, like, yeah, it could have been more, sure. But you know what? I mean, take your victories where you can get them.
Have you seen the Adam Levine one where it's him shirtless with like a flame in the background and it says, all right, you pussies, get on the floor and start moshing. This one's called She Will Be Loved.
Oh. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's just Maroon 5 trying too hard.
I was watching it with my mother and she was like, why is he taking his shirt off? I was like, have you seen that guy? He's fucking hot.
I mean, don't get me wrong. He's a good looking dude.
He's handsome.
But
It's like, you see all those women in the crowd right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna have to wipe up the field after.
Yeah, it's just, yeah, I don't know. I think you know what you know what I think it is. I think we were spoiled with Prince.
Prince had like, I've talked to so many people about this, and everyone just pretty much agrees that Prince has had the best halftime show.
I mean, he was playing with like his stage with the purple lights, and it was raining while he was
Uh huh.
singing
Pouring
Purple
rain.
Rain. Like,
Yep, glass stage and high heels,
I mean,
electric guitar.
fuck.
Yeah, and like, I saw like a in memory of sort of thing, and it said, "Oh yeah, we called Prince, make sure you wanted to do it still and everything like that." And we were like, "Prince, it's raining pretty bad out there," and he's like, "Can you do me one favor?" What's that? Can you make it rain harder? Which is such a Prince line.
Yeah,
But the Lady Gaga halftime show was really good a couple years ago.
yeah, I thought Gaga was good, especially because she looks like Dazzler from X-Men. Trying to figure out how many
See,
X-Men references
I
you
got
can
Steven
make.
Universe vibes
Oh
when she
man,
like had the staff and everything.
yeah.
I was like, she's a crystal gem right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which I need to catch up and watch that like 2 episode thing.
Oh yeah. No. It's really good. I mean, that's like that. That is a show that is just has consistently delivered.
Yeah, it's so touching too, and like has such positive vibes for all the messages that they have in it.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's gonna be one of those shows that where like when it's over, it's like, well, I'm watching episode 1. Just
Did you
gonna
watch
start
Adventure
over.
Time?
No. And
Ooh,
I heard,
that's really a fun one to watch.
how is the ending?
I
'Cause-
really like it. I
yeah.
mean, it was kind of abrupt, but like, I like how it ended, and they even like gave the fans what they want because they were like, "Fuck it, it's not gonna be on TV again."
Yeah.
So they had a oh man, I don't want to spoil it.
I guess I'll just have to watch it.
They had 2 characters kiss that like the fans were just like, "Fuck yeah, our ship has sailed," which is
Yeah.
really great.
No, I mean, from what I have seen of it, I liked. I guess I just never made it a point to actually like kind of go back and like seriously watch it the way I've been watching Steven Universe. But
Right.
but now that I mean, I guess the nice thing about it being over is that I can just binge it.
Yeah, on Hulu.
Thank
They
God for
have
Hulu.
everything on Hulu.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I don't know if they have the earlier seasons anymore,
Damn it.
but you can find it easily.
Yeah.
If you like Dungeons and Dragons too, then they make a lot of really good references for it.
Yeah.
Like one of my favorite things is Finn, the main character, is in love with Flame Princess, and he goes up to her father and is like, "Hey man, so like, what's the deal? Is she pure evil or like just a chaotic neutral or what?" He's like, "Nope, pure evil." Well, like, what if she started hanging out with a really cool, like, rad dude that was good and she started doing good things? Well, let's see. She'd probably take an experience hit, but she could probably have that happen. He's like, all right on. And then the father gets worried, goes to his daughter's room at night, and then just starts whispering, evil, 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 in her ear. And they got Keith David to be the father.
Oh, that's cool.
They have so many good voice actors. They got Ron Perlman for an episode, or for a few episodes, actually. The dude who voice acts Mr. Krabs, the Clergan from Highlander.
Oh yeah.
He was in an episode as like a cat that has an approximate knowledge of everything.
That's cool.
Where Finn shows up in the room and he's just like, "Hello, Frank the human." She's like, "Oh, how did you almost know my name?" Yeah, that show's great. I need to finish regular show still.
Oh man, the regular show finale was awesome.
Was it?
Oh, it was so good. That's a
I,
show that I could just kind of like rewatch again.
I'm trying to like figure out where I left off by rewatching old episodes, and I think I kind of scattered around. The last one I remember, like when I figured it out watching, is Muscle Mom,
Oh, that
the
was a good
Halloween
one.
episode.
Yeah. Oh God, the
Yeah,
Halloween episodes were good.
they're typically fun.
Yeah, I kind of like that they kind of borrowed the formula from The Simpsons, where it's just like a bunch of short stories.
Right, Treehouse of Horrors and whatnot.
Yeah, no, it was
And it's
good.
just them like telling the story too.
Yeah, yeah, and I like how the situations change. Like they're at a party, or they're going to a party, or
They're always trying to do something, or like
yeah,
they crash their car and they end up becoming ghosts themselves.
right. Yeah, no, regular show, good stuff.
Also, one of my favorite things is them making fun of that dickhead from King of Kongs
Yeah,
with Garrett Bobby Ferguson, giant
uh,
big face, and
yeah.
they made it look exactly like him. And the dude was so pissed off that he tried to sue regular show.
What a donkey.
Well, he's not making any money otherwise. He can't play video games anymore. He's not as good as like these little kids that can just fucking look at something and be like, "I win."
Right. Yeah. Hashtag annoying.
I saw a pretty interesting thing recently though with online gaming. It was somebody saying like uh, Fortnite is the best game of the year that I've never played, and he was basing it on the fact that like he's a Dota 2 player, and the server has been wiped clean of all these shitty kids that are just like rage quitting and fucking like, oh, I fucked your mom and shit like that. And it's just like a bunch of older dudes that are just like, hey man, what's going on? Not much. You? Not too much. You wanna hit this mission? Yeah, sure, man. So Fortnite's like cleaned the servers. So good.
Yeah, yeah, I've seen a lot about Fortnite. Don't know what's going on.
How
Just playing a lot of Spider-Man. Or
you liking it?
Oh, I love it. Not as much as Conan O'Brien, but it's pretty good.
Have you watched the Conan O'Brien like traveling the world thing on Netflix?
Hell yeah. The him going to Korea was pretty awesome.
Yeah, that was really great. Him going to Colombia was great too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was good. Yeah, no, I mean they've all been really good.
I think Colombia is
Columbia,
my favorite so far.
yeah, Columbia was good. Um, I
The
liked I like how
Hansel
he
and Gretel thing.
yeah I liked him doing the live show with like on a Mexican soundstage,
Yep.
with the crew and everything, and
I
um,
think that's the last episode I left off at.
yeah,
I saw the Italy episode too because that's where I jumped into my friend watching it.
hmm
So I don't know how many episodes I have left or anything.
yeah, yeah. No, it's a delight. I was actually watching that when I was kind of on the comeback trail from being sick.
Nice. That's a good one to watch.
hmm One thing I was watching during my recovery was Reign of the Supermen.
Okay.
You still have my DC login, so you should be able to watch it if you wanted to.
I don't think I ever got that. You've only sent me screen caps of stuff.
I thought I gave you my DC login. That's how you watch Titans.
Nah, I watched that illegally.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
if you want my DC login stuff, so you can watch because the Death of Superman was really good, and I liked that they followed it up with the Reign of Superman, with like Superboy and Cyborg Superman, and
Right on.
yeah,
That sounds pretty fun. It's like when Marvel did the Everyone's the Hulk.
yeah. It was really good. It was because I when I was unemployed read that entire Death of Superman thing.
Hmm.
And I feel like that they did it right with the animated movies. Like it was, they took out the stuff that didn't work, streamlined it. So that's what I've been checking out recently. That and Young Justice on the DC Universe app.
DC's so on point with all their animated shit. Why can't they get their live action right?
Dude, I've been saying it for years now, but I would love to have, like I wish DC just did full length theatrical released animated films. I would be
Right.
so down for that.
Right. I like so many fans would be down for that. Like, but they would only get the comic book fans. They wouldn't get the like the regular people that are only watching live action stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like if you,
It's all about money.
it is about money, and I understand that, but I feel like that you could do it in a way that I don't know. I mean, people. I mean, Incredible still made an incredible amount of money.
Right, but that's Pixar.
I know, but if they, you know, I don't know. I don't know how because I'm tired, but I think that there's a way that they could do it where
Right.
you could have people excited for animated. Like I would be totally down for an animated Flash movie.
Right.
You
I
know,
mean,
like I think that's the only way I'm going to be sold on a guy in red tights running real fast.
well, I thought the TV show wasn't bad.
The TV
At
show
least the
wasn't
first
bad.
season or two wasn't.
Yeah, I mean I loved. I mean, all right. So let me rephrase that. If it's not a live action movie with the cast of the show, then I want it to be animated.
Right. Which is fair.
Yeah,
Speaking of shows, though, did you ever finish Titans?
I did finish Titans.
I haven't yet. How many episodes are there? Like six?
I don't know. I don't recall. I mean,
As we need to finish our review of that series
we do, we do.
with the fucking roller coaster that shit is.
I mean, but the thing, I mean, I don't know. I think it's
It's like a bad act, like B movie where you're just like, what the fuck just happened? Like, oh yeah, I'm on for this ride.
yeah. I think it's because it's like I think because I don't think it's not as bad as I thought it would be. Like I feel like it's just enjoyable enough to be like, okay, I'm in. You know,
Right.
like
It's like The Room. I'm having fun watching it, even though it's not very good.
right. Like I still want to know what happens next. I want to see what they're gonna do with the story. I mean, it's um,
Like they're not the superheroes in my eyes for the most part because like their powers are not the same, except for Robin, who's just like, I'm an acrobatic and brooding.
right. Which is why I think if you weren't just say if if you weren't feeling Titans, check out Young Justice because Young Justice so well animated and the writing is
Yeah.
so good and like I feel like some of the stuff that happens in that like I'm just like oh my god I can't believe that was the mole or like oh man I can't
Right.
believe how well this fight is choreographed.
I remember seeing a clip from Young Justice again not too long ago, and it's like, was it Martian Girl? Is that it? Her name?
Uh oh yeah with the Martian Manhunter niece or whatever.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She's doing her telepathy talk to everyone, and like Superman clone baby is just like, all right, I'm gonna go take off over this way, and she just like telepathically says, huh, I wish you'd take off all your clothes and take me that way, or some shit like that.
Yeah.
And the Green Arrow chick is just like, everyone can hear that because we're connected to your mind right now, right? And she's like, yup, I want them to know.
Yeah.
It was like, hell yeah. Like, be aggressive. Get your dick.
Yeah. No, it's been
As, so is that the only stuff you've been into lately?
pretty much that's all I've been doing. How about you?
Nice. There's an anime called That Time I Got Resurrected as a Slime that's been a lot of fun.
Okay.
Yeah, it starts off with a guy. He's like an office worker, really plain life, and he's meeting up with one of his younger employees, and the younger employee is trying to show off his girlfriend, but
Mhm.
he sacrifices himself to save his younger employee and gets stabbed and like ends up becoming like resurrected as a slime with all these abilities and stuff. And his dying words were like, "Hey, delete my hard drive. Seriously. Like, don't look at it. Just destroy the thing. Burn it. pour water on it, do whatever you need to do,
Yeah.
but make sure no one sees it ever again. And so he gets resurrected as a slime that's like heat resistance, ice resistance, has all these really cool abilities, meets up with a dragon who's like an elder dragon, and is just like, oh, we're friends now. And it's a really fun adventure. And then the first episode ends with him just being like, I wonder if he ever did that for me. And it's just the guy crying, throwing a computer into a bathtub.
That actually sounds pretty cool.
It's pretty fun. If you have the Funimation network, you can watch it. I think it's on Crunchyroll too.
Yeah, that sounds pretty dope.
I've been watching that. And then there's a show called Dororo, which is a remake from a 1960s series where this, like, it's old-timey Japan.
Mm-hmm.
And this lord made a pact with demons to like make him successful or something like that.
Yeah.
And so the demon's price, because the guy said anything, was to put a curse on his firstborn son, which made his son like born without eyes, skin, ears, a sense of pain, had no limbs or anything like that. And throughout all the struggles of that, the kid survived and is now killing demons. And every demon he kills, he gets a new piece of his body back.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, so like, the first thing he ever gets back is his leg. And the way he is able to kill the demons is when he was like let go at a riverbank, and when that happened, he was like a guy that makes prosthetic limbs found him coincidentally and just like made limbs that somehow work and taught him how to fight.
That sounds pretty cool.
It's pretty cool. It's really well animated too.
Nice.
Definitely. I don't know where you could watch that one, but outside of Kiss Anime.
Yeah. Well,
but that's really worth watching.
Okay. I'll put it on the list.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, I'm definitely kind of into a lot of like animated stuff right now. I mean, I think especially because of all of the DC stuff, it's kind of getting me excited about like like the DC characters and diving back into like the Brian Michael Bendis Superman stuff right now. I think is pretty cool.
Hell yeah.
Which is funny because he's a character I never thought Bendis would write. But he does a pretty good job with it. Like I thought, like it would be more like kind of like street level stuff, like the way he wrote for Daredevil, or Spider-Man. But no, I mean he's got a really cool story arc with Squeaky Clean Superman, and it's like street level villains up against Superman. So it's like you kind of get the charm of the Brian Michael Bendis stuff,
right?
With with the charm of Superman.
Yeah, he's putting his own like personal twist onto it, and just being like, yeah, people are getting sick of all this God shit. Let's bring it to a street level again.
Right. Yeah, it's pretty cool, and it's like, yeah, I highly recommend if check it out if you ever get the chance, or I'll just find a way to share it with you.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
Yeah, it's good stuff. That and the Tom King Batman stuff is just like superb.
I've been saying for years that like Thor would be so much cooler of a movie. Like, don't get me wrong, Ragnarok was great, but how excited would you be if the movie started off with Thor fighting the Wrecking Crew?
That would be dope.
And like them getting away by taking a like hostage or some shit, and then joining up with Loki after being promised power.
That would be cool. I think one direction the Thor movies could go in is that depending on what happens in Endgame, but if this is what I hope happens, that if Valkyrie and Korg take a bunch of the Asgardians off of that ship before Thanos got there, because the original plan was Thor was going to go to Earth. I think it'd be cool if they took the J. Michael Straczynski storyline where Thor builds Asgard over a small town in Oklahoma.
Right. And Loki's the lady again.
I think that could be. I mean, especially if Tom Hiddleston wants out of the contract.
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean,
that's a great out.
I don't know why he would want out of the contract, just because, like, what else has he got going on?
Well, that, and he's good at it, and people love him in it.
Yeah, because there's, like, Slender Boy's hot.
Mm-hmm.
And he's so British.
Britishy. So
Yeah, it's that and Kingdom Hearts, which Kingdom Hearts, I think the third one's not as good as the second because they got rid of a lot of stuff that I liked.
Mm-hmm.
But it is a very pretty video game, and it is still a hack and slash, so it's fun.
Cool. Yeah, I'm hoping, and that just reminds me because of Disney. Hopefully we'll get a new badass Marvel versus Capcom with the X-Men characters back in it.
Right. Yeah, the last one seemed so bad that I didn't bother getting it.
I mean, it was fun. I played it, but it's like it doesn't seem right to not have like Wolverine or Storm.
Right. What a game I would really want is like another Marvel Ultimate Alliance or
Yeah,
the X-Men Legends or whatever.
that would be cool. Yeah, both of those. Yeah, hopefully because of the merger, we'll
We should just start a petition to get people to be like, "Man, I want this. Look at this. You could get like the sudden it fell over and hit my keyboard.
it was.
It happens."
Oh, just the timing of it, though. The timing of it was great. And now might be a good time for us to wrap it up.
Very fair.
Well, gang, you all know the drill. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, drop us a line. We'd love to hear from you. Stay tuned. We will be recording our Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle review this weekend, the first installment of our Forgotten 90s superhero movie series. So be sure to check that out. And as always, enjoy your issues.